Hey Morgan, sorry to get back to you late on this, but I wanted to go over this question real quick. So when we look at this, there's a couple different ways you can go about solving it. So when we got y equals 2x minus 4, and then the x minus 4, it's asking about the vertex. So one thing you can do, and this is why I was asking about the calculator. So you could type in the equation they give you, the y equals, into your calculator, and then, so if you look here, I did that real quick on my version of the calculator on the computer. We can see that, right there is our vertex, which is 3, negative 2. Um, so if we go back to the problem, 3, negative 2, and choice C is actually the only one that has that in there. The thing to remember is when they do vertex form like this, um, the first here that's with the X in the parentheses there, that's always the opposite. So since here is a negative 3, it would be a positive 3 on your graph. And then the second term, which is the negative, we know it's a negative 2 on the graph, and we have the negative 2 at the end there. So that's one way you can do it. If it's asking about the vertex, XY coordinate, you can use your graphing calculator to figure that out. Um, so we can also, they have the whole explanation sort of down here, and it's completing the square. This is a fun problem because it does get into everything. But completing the square, I'll sort of walk it through it real quick. So here's our problem. So the first thing they did is actually the FOIL, which we talked about the other day. So we get our 2x squared, and then when you do the 2x in there, you get a negative 8x. And then when we do the second part, we get negative 4x, and then our plus 16. So then when we combine our like terms here, 2x squared, and then we get minus 12x plus 16. Now we know that would equal 0. So once we get to here, now we're going to start doing the completing the square. So one thing that we like to do in class, which is a little bit different than on there, is we would subtract 16 from both sides. So you would get your 2x squared minus 12x equals negative 16. Then you can divide by 2, since these are divisible by 2. And you get your x squared minus 6x. And then, hold on. So if we keep going through here, we're dividing by 2 over here. Then we get equals negative 8. And then this is where'd that 9 come from? So what we have to do is we have x squared minus 6x. Then you do plus a square or space equals negative 8 plus a space. Now, to get this 9, which you can see is in the answer, we do our negative 6, which is our b term right here, divided by 2 squared. So negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3. Negative 3 squared is our 9. And that 9 goes over here too. And we can't forget that we will have this 2 because we did factor it out in front of this whole thing. So then when we go here, this part here is actually can be factored into a perfect square of x minus 3 squared. And then that will equal negative 1, or negative 8 plus 9 will give us a positive 1. And we still got that 2 sort of covering everything outside. So the reason that this here is x minus 3, because if we go back and did the FOIL for x minus 3 times x minus 3, we get x squared, negative 3x, and then we get another negative 3x. That gives us our negative 6x, and negative 3 times negative 3 is positive 9. So once we get here, this is where we sort of stop the completing the square part, and that goes back to vertex form. So this part has to move back over, and to move it, we would subtract 1. So then you have your 2, then you have your x minus 3 squared minus 1, and that's still all being by 2 equals our 0. And the reason that becomes a 2 is because they just did they multiplied it out just to get rid of that one parenthesis. So 2 and -1 gives you -2. So then that's how we know that this is our x value, and our x value would be 3 because it's opposite. It's a negative here, so it'd be positive. Then this is our y, and that's our x. So it'd be 3, -2. So hopefully, as you can see, the calculator part is a lot easier just to type it in your calculator the way it is. You can get your vertex. So hopefully that helps. If you have any more questions with it, let me know. I can try to find more examples of this too to help you out. All right. Talk to you later.